Former state senator and now Republican nominee for Texas Comptroller Don Huffines. Thank you so much. Congratulations and welcome back to Ion Politics.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jack.
Nice to see you. So you just won your Republican primary, which was a crowded field outright with more than 57% of the vote. Why do you think it is that you achieved and received so many more votes than the others in this race?
Well, this was an epic win. It really was. Most people didn't expect this. We did. We ran a great campaign. And at first, I got to give the credit to God. And that's very important to me to do that. But the voters listened. I've been traveling all over the state for many years, listening to Republicans at what they want. And we delivered on the message of DOGE-ing Texas and rooting out fraud, waste, and abuse. And the message really resonates. And of course, I have the receipts to be able to do that. That's why I was endorsed by so many organizations.
And you were endorsed by Senator Ted Cruz very early on in your campaign, and then by President Trump just on Friday, right after he visited Corpus Christi. Talk to me about that and what impact do you think that may have had?
Well, it had a great impact. Both the endorsements did. Of course, the president is the leader of the Republican Party and our great country, and to have his support is huge, huge. And Ted Cruz is the best Republican U.S. senator we've ever sent to Washington. So those endorsements and so many more were a big part of this great victory, and I'm excited, and of course, very excited to have those.
And one of the candidates that you ran against in the primary is the acting comptroller who was appointed by Governor Abbott and endorsed by Governor Abbott. And I read that you had a phone call with Governor Abbott. Tell us about it.
Yes. Well, he called yesterday, and we had a great discussion. We really did. We talked about how the Republican Party is going to be united. We're going to get together. Look, primaries are tough. They're tough, but we're all going to come together, and we are drilling down right now, even as we speak, to focus on the fall, to beat the Democrats, to deliver on the message of what Republicans are about. And we also talked with the governor about his legislative priorities, what he would like to see happen next session, and a few other things. So we had a good discussion.
And you're on board with his legislative agenda?
I'm certainly on board on helping any way I can for anything that lines up with the campaign promises I've made. And those are all on donhuffines.com. My first priority is to the voters that put me in this position, and I will deliver on those just like I did when I was a state senator.
And was the governor on board with DOGE, your efforts to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse?
I think all Republicans are. That's why I won. He is on board. Look, I just asked a real simple question: who runs Texas? And it's unfortunately our legislature, or fortunately, but the facts are the legislature only meets every other year for 140 days, and so it's just natural. The bureaucratic state, which runs Texas, and all the 200 plus state agencies, just gets bigger and bigger and just grows and grows, and it's like the stuff in our garages. That's the analogy I use. The garage just fills up with stuff. We don't like cleaning it out, but we sure like pulling in what it's done. And that's what I'm going to do in the comptroller's office. We'll clean out the garage.
And let me ask you, you mentioned it a little bit before. Now you've got to gear up for November. You have the time to do it. You don't have to worry about a runoff. And you're going up against State Senator Sarah Eckhart, Democrat from Austin, who's a part of the legislature now. And I was looking, she has received more votes in her primary than you did in your primary. Any concerns about that? And what is your message for voters in November?
Well, look, I'm focused on, as all the Republican Party is, on winning in November. And in destroying it, drawing a clear distinction between us and the Democrats. And it's really not that hard. We're the party of the family. We're the party of faith. We're the party of our culture and ethics. And it's more than that. we're the party that doesn't want to spend your money. Look, the money belongs to us, Jack. It belongs to the people. And my message is universal. It's bipartisan. We don't. No one wants to see our money wasted, our tax dollars being wasted and not spent properly. And if someone's stealing it, they sure want to see them being accountable and going to prison. And as you know, I've got the track record and the receipts to prove I can do that. And that's what I'm going to do: is root out fraud, waste, and abuse. And it's a not that's a bipartisan issue, and we're going to keep working on that.
And as you know, now one of the new responsibilities for the Texas Comptroller's Office is to build and develop the school choice program, which the state is in the process of doing. And people, families have until March 17th to sign up for the school choice program. And they've had a lot of people. I know the last time I checked in, it was over 100,000 people had signed up for it. And what can you tell me about that and ensuring, obviously, you won't be in office. It'll be stood up. The program will be stood up once you get into office. But what do you make of the number of applicants so far, and just on, going forward, if you are to win, making sure that everything stays on course?
Well, look, I'm a champion of the school choice program, education freedom. And when I was a Texas senator, I actually wrote legislation on this issue, education savings accounts. I'm very familiar with it, and I'm very excited to be directing the program. All rules and regulations on this program lie in on the comptroller's desk. And should also be a nonpartisan issue. We all want the government schools to be the best they can possibly be. We want every kid to get a great education in the government school system, but the solution to that is competition, a free market. I'm a business guy. I'm bringing the private sector mindset to the government sector. Competition always lowers the price and increases the quality of everything it touches. And it's going to do that with the government school system. Excuse me. And I'm going to make sure that we have robust marketing program, that everybody's familiar with it, all the parents that want to participate or the students that want to participate. And they need an option, and they're going to get an option. And I'm going to run it very, very effectively. And we're going to run it. We're going to run it so that it's got very clear transparency, and that's really important. Making sure the government's not interfering too much in the schools.
Republican nominee for Texas Comptroller Don Huffines. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Jack. God
We
bless you.
appreciate we
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.